Celebrate good times, baby, because the Cougs just won and are 7-0, getting revenge on Oklahoma State. Welcome to Saturday's Warrior. I'm Trevor, and this is the channel where we talk all things BYU, Big 12, BYU victories over Big 12 opponents. We also do a bit of realignment, but this is a segment we do each week after the BYU games, called Saturday's Night Live. And oops, it looks like you may have lost me for a second. So this is a weekly segment we do. We do our live reaction to the games and what a game it is to react to. So I'm East Coast. I stay up late for these games, but I still record these videos because guess what? I'm not sleeping right now anyway. Who could sleep right now after a game like that? Yes, exactly. 1-2 is on the chat already, and he said it all. Phew. Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for getting in on the chat and bring me to my next point, which is we do this so that everybody can come in and after the game and just get all our thoughts and feelings out. And as we settle down after a game, hopefully victories as we continue to go throughout the season. But so if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel so you can check out all these videos. We also do videos throughout the week. We do our breakdown of the game as well as a look ahead to the upcoming matchup, make our picks and all that early in the week. And then we also like to have guests on from other shows from the opposing fan base so we can get to know our opponents a little bit better. So be sure to like this video. It really helps us a lot and grow the platform and get other people involved in the conversation, which is why we do this, and subscribe to the channel. Now that we've gotten through all that, let's get to this game. 1-2, what a drive. Yeah, what a drive to end the game. I want to know, let me know in the comments, how many people honestly thought that BYU was going to pull that off? Because, I mean, I kept watching. I felt like it seems like there's a chance, but, you know, I don't know if I really believed it. I had two thumbnails going, and I had to like keep changing back and forth which thumbnail I was going to use. And so I wasn't ready to delete either one of them, even after BYU scored that final drive, that final touchdown. So because there was still time left on the clock, and with the way that game was going, anything could have happened. Yep. Sorry if I mess this up. Brutisi, for real. Yeah. Responding to 1-2. Yeah, absolutely. It was wild, which is what Scott Frank says. Well, that was wild. Yeah, absolutely. You know, we thought we were going to get the vampire Cougs. Instead, we got the cardiac Cougs, and I was not ready for it. Very injury game. Yeah, tons of injuries. Seems like on both sides of the ball. We'll see how all that shakes out afterwards as team, as you know, the reports come out in terms of injuries and potential players missing games going forward. Hopefully nothing too serious. Namely Jake Retzlaff, who they kept pronouncing Rotzlaff. I don't know. They could not get his name right, but yeah, it seems like he got dinged up a little bit and stopping that touchdown run off of his interception at the end of the half. He was a little banged up. They didn't throw much in the second half, but I think that was more game plan because the run game was really effective. LJ Martin had himself a game. And you know what? Retzlaff came through clutch when he needed to, on the ground and in the air. So, you know, for all the grief we give him about, you know, trying to force the ball sometimes, which was that first interception earlier. And the commentators gave him two interceptions before that third one from BYU, but one was Ropati, and the other one, the first one, he was forcing it. Then there was Ropati, and then there was also his interception that he was kind of forcing it, but it was at the end of the half. It was a little bit lower risk, but man, had that gone back for another score, that obviously would have changed things. But that same mentality is what kept him in the game. When he went on that that run because nothing was open, and the defenders kind of gave him that space because they thought he was going to come up short of the first down, go out of bounds, and stop the clock. And yet he swerved around him and he kept going and picked up a lot of yards. I don't remember how much. I have to go look at the stat on that, and he put BYU in a position to win that game, then obviously making that throw. So yeah, sometimes it gets him in trouble, but it's the same thing that helps him win in moments like this. What a crazy final drive. What a wild game. All right. Zachary Thornton, magical season. It really does feel like a magical season. We're finding different ways to win, and players are stepping up. I mean, even when BYU defensively looked terrible in this game, offensively we had certain struggles, but BYU ultimately found a way to win. And Zachary Thornton also commented here when I asked who really thought we were going to score off of that final drive. Not me. Thanks for being honest, because I like to think I did. I was hoping, watching there, hoping, but did I really think it was going to happen? I don't know. But I'm sure glad I was proven wrong there. And let's see. I thought that as long as they didn't throw an interception, it was possible. Yeah, that was actually what I was more worried about. It seems to happen a lot at the end of games. Either you see crazy finishes where a team pulls out a win. We saw it last week with the Kansas State over Colorado, or you see the QB trying to do too much and he ends up with an interception to end the game. Kind of happened last year with BYU in the second overtime with Oklahoma State when he had the ball, but then they just kind of tore it from his arms, and that ended the game. So I don't remember if it was Robbins or Martin. Anyway, I want to focus on this game. So, all right, 1-2. Last drive. Chase Roberts is so oh yeah, I didn't even mention Chase Roberts. Yes, he is clutch. I don't know why. He's kind of had some quiet games the last few games. They've been giving a lot of the attention to Lassiter, but Chase is so clutch. Lassiter made an unbelievable catch and then play after the catch. Yeah, his run there at the end and getting through a couple, because there's a couple times I thought, oh no, they got him. Nope, they got him. And, and which I still feel confident BYU could have scored a touchdown. But I felt much better just getting the touchdown out of the way. Retzlaff has no fear, which is a double-edged sword, but I'll take it. Yeah, exactly. And that's along the lines of what I was saying. We can complain sometimes, but also it's what allows him to make plays like that. And he is a gamer. He's a competitor. You love that spirit. He may not be the most talented quarterback, but he's certainly, like, he makes throws that a lot of quarterbacks aren't making. So I don't know. Again, I think even with some of his mistakes tonight, I don't think we hear anybody calling for Bohannon. Although Bohannon, I did see that he was somebody say that he was warming up on the sideline at one point after it looked like Jake was hurt. So I hope that that's why you want to have depth there at quarterback. We expected there to be a chance that we'd see both quarterbacks play this season. So hoping that Retzlaff is healthy though and able to keep going, because man, he is quite a player. Sorry, commented that one already. Okay, Devin Stoker here. Have been waiting to see if BYU could handle adversity and not implode. Yeah, we knew a game like this was coming at some point, and I'm sure there will be more. We know that BYU is not going to go all season completely unscathed, and that it's even unlikely that they go completely undefeated. Although each game we go, you're getting that much closer. Now it's just 5 more games, but adversity can come from anywhere, even teams that are down and out. They were coming off a bye week. They have a great coach. There's other teams that are struggling with their backs against the wall. We go to UCF next week, and they've had their struggles, and that they're still going to give it everything, and that they're still playing for all that they have. And so I don't expect any of these wins to, none of these teams are just going to lay down and give up, and BYU's got to be ready for that. And honestly, I think that this is a good one for BYU to have. It's good to go through some adversity so you can handle, when you face it and win. And that way, when you face it again later, you know how to handle it and how to go through that. But, um, I heard a little bit from players this week. A few different players are saying, yeah, we're happy we're bowl eligible, but we have bigger aspirations than that, which is good. Like, I'm glad this team has these aspirations, but I'm not sure I love hearing them talk about it. Let me know what you guys think in the comments, because this is one I've thought about a lot this week is, you got to have those goals in order to achieve them, and you got to be working towards something. But also, they've seemed all season to be focused on the here and now. And I was wondering if they're letting that slip a little bit, which you don't want to sleep on a team like Oklahoma State, especially after, Ollie Gordon burned us last year. He burned us tonight. And you just don't want to, get unfocused. And it seemed like maybe they were a little bit, and I could be wrong, but, actually, let's get to some other comments here, and I'll continue that thought. But Ryan Wilkinson says, "Hope this is an ego check for BYU." Oh, okay. So you're right along the line of that. I was thinking, Ryan, is were they kind of buying into the hype a little bit? And I hope not, but I kind of got that vibe. And you also said looking really mortal going on the road. Yeah. UCF is going to be a tough place to play. Salt Lake obviously is going to be a tough place to play. And there's really just no gimmies. Even teams that are down this year, like Houston, they have looked very competitive in all their games. Yeah, they've lost, but most of their games, but they've still been competitive. They still hung in there. You can't overlook anybody. So it's good to have this adversity and come out winning, go back and look at, okay, what can we do better? Because defense, look, you'd think that they, with this backup quarterback in, not a lot of reps, that you'd be able to load the box, really focus on stopping the QB run, stopping their star running back when he's really struggled all season. And yet then they'd throw, or then they'd get around us, missed tackles, bad angles, even, vets like Tyler Batty got sucked in. I remember on one play just took a bad angle and let the QB get around him. I think it was what's his face, the former starter. I'm forgetting his name now. That ran around him. So yeah, it's going to be tough. All right. And now we've got, is it Kava Clips? Crazy, healthy that we went through this. Yeah, absolutely. It's good to experience that and learn lessons from a victory. Absolutely. We got here the alternative hypothesis. Let's hope this is a sign that Okie State figured things out. I hope so. I mean, for some reason, a lot of teams figure things out against BYU. I should say more last year. This year, it kind of felt like it was different. This game, we definitely looked mortal. Hopefully, BYU can figure things out. But yeah, it would be great after a game like this to see Oklahoma State go back and be competitive in more games. And then you can say, okay, they've turned the corner. They've figured a few things out and put it back together, and they're a respectable team. And not just kind of keep losing, because that does not look great for BYU. But again, every team is going to be competitive. You see Alabama, they're still ranked ahead of BYU, and they beat Georgia, but Georgia has struggled against some lesser competition, pulled out wins. Alabama lost to Vandy. They almost lost to South Carolina. So even good teams can struggle. Heck, Alabama last year was in a real close one with South Florida. So, but yeah, I do want to see Oklahoma State do well, enjoy their fan base interaction on social media, and make BYU look better. Scott Frank, you knew that play A-Rod called up would eventually get intercepted. Not sure I blame Rapati. Bad toss though. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of on both of them. I don't know why they wouldn't have just run. Sometimes it does feel like they get too cute. I think A-Rod, one of his strengths is knowing usually when to pull out those trick plays. That one felt unnecessary, but also Ropati throwing it. I mean, I guess that's the real trick, but he just really lobbed that up there. And it just took forever to go where it was intended, and then it looked like there could have been PI on that call or on that play too. But it was just a bad throw and seemed like bad timing. So maybe they got a little too cute and overthought it a little bit. Scott Frank also says, you knew that trick play. Oh, same one. Sorry about that. Didn't look first. So, and then we got, let's see here, V4E4. BYU defense was exposed today. Yeah, which is really surprising. I'm not sure what the difference was, if it was scheme, if it was matchups, because they were, they were a bit banged up that I couldn't believe it was that. So I don't really know. Or is BYU's defense, not as good as they've looked? Are we fake? And I don't think that's the case. I think it is a legitimate defense. So not sure what happened, what was out of sorts. I'd be interested to hear your guys' thoughts. I did see one tweet, and we'll see if I get to those, is that there was that one drive, I believe it ended in a touchdown. It might have been their second touchdown drive, that our starting safeties didn't play a single snap on that drive. So I don't know. I don't know if they were banged up because they were back in later, or if that was just trying to give them a blow, or what it was. Scott Frank says defense looked confused. Yeah. So again, maybe it's a product of a short week. Actually, let me know that in the comments. I'm kind of curious. What do you think was the overall reason that BYU looked out of sorts today? Do you think that it was a short week, that the game plan wasn't installed? Do you think it was health? Do you think they were buying into their own hype? Do you think that Oklahoma State just came in rested and really well prepped? What was it? I'm not really sure. I mean, obviously BYU certainly had some good moments, but also struggled as well. So, and one thing about the defense, because everyone keeps saying, these turnovers, BYU can't just keep counting on turnovers, and that's, how their offenses thrive, which is true. Like, BYU has benefited from a lot of turnovers, but BYU, a lot of, you go back and look at these games throughout the season. In my opinion, you look at a lot of these, and these were turnovers created by BYU. You see them really being in the right place, and confusion. And so it's great scheme. They're where they need to be, and they go and create those. You think of like Jacob Robinson's interception last week. I mean, he went up, he tipped that, he had to grab that. This wasn't just gifted to him. But tonight, some of these interceptions, some of these turnovers were kind of gifted to us. So BYU did benefit from that. Now, you still had guys in the right place, but this was really felt like these were more bad throws. These were tipped passes, and those often do go to the defenders, especially when they're in the right place. Now, yeah, you still got to catch it. You still got to run with it. But some of those we definitely benefited from. But anyway, let's go on. Jess Hayes says, Oklahoma State will get some wins going forward for sure. Yeah, I don't think they're going to go winless the rest of the season, but I'd like to see them do real well. Actually, I'm kind of curious. Let's look at who they play for the rest of the season. And let me even throw that up here. Sorry, just a second while I pull this up. But yeah, let's look at their schedule while my computer's thinking here. Let's see, who else do they have? So after us, they play at Baylor. Then they have Arizona State at home. They play at TCU. Then they have a bye week, and they're at Texas Tech. Or they have Texas Tech, and then they're at Colorado. So, yeah, I mean, it definitely looks like there's some wins in there for sure. Baylor, but Baylor's tough. Arizona State, we'll see if they're for real, but they do have them at home. Going to TCU, they've also had been a bit down. Texas Tech is really good. Colorado are both good, but both look vulnerable at times. So it'll be very interesting to see. But yeah, I think Oklahoma State definitely has a few more wins in them for sure. Okay, sorry. Let's get through some more comments here. We've got a lot here piling up. So an exciting win, which is why we do this. We love the chat, so keep them coming. Um, all right, Bennett edits 7. A win is a win. We need to skip over this bad win and focus on the next week. Yeah, if we'll see the how well this team is able to regroup and I technically it's a long week. You get one extra day, which is great because they're traveling, two time zones all the way to the East Coast, where BYU has typically not done as well. I would know because I've been at many of those games. In fact, I kind of flirted with the idea of flying down to this game. I don't think I will because I seem to be bad luck, and I'd rather them win. But I think BYU obviously. UCF is down. We'll see how they do tomorrow, or I guess technically today. But yeah, it'll be a good one. So you need this team to, okay, what can we learn from this game and move on to the next one? Absolutely. And yeah, a win is a win. We're going to have tough wins. Lyle Smith says, nothing scares me more than a team who is struggling. Respect to OSU. Yeah, absolutely. You got to give those guys respect. I mean, they balled out and controlled a lot of that game. And BYU really didn't have an answer. You look at that last drive. I mean, we just could not stop them on third down. You keep slowing them down, and they just chewed up tons of clock. And I even tweeted out, is this going to be one of those games when whoever has the ball last wins, which I guess not because Oklahoma State had a few seconds left. But if you look at it in terms of time with a real possession, that's exactly what happened. This kind of became a old-fashioned Big 12 shootout, which is kind of crazy considering both teams were running it a lot. Let's see. 1-2 said, I don't view this as evidence BYU's exposed. Look at Miami, who has survived not one, but two last-second improbable wins and yet is ranked number 6. Winning in different ways is big. Yeah, absolutely. I think you're right. I do think BYU's defense is legit. So saying they're exposed kind of suggests that they are frauds. I do not think that this defense is fraudulent, but it does seem like there was something there this week that I don't know if there was a weakness that Oklahoma State was able to exploit, or if it was just team wasn't prepared or locked in. I don't know what it was, but there was something that happened, that they definitely need to go back and work on this next week as they get it ready for the next game. But yeah, you're right. Winning different ways is important. I mentioned Miami or Alabama. You talked about Miami. A win is a win. And the problem is it seems to be a double standard for BYU or the Big 12. I don't know if you all saw this week. I'll see if I can pull it up, but it was just ridiculous. All the comments about Notre Dame lost to a blurb, from articles from ESPN, just talking about all the different, I think, ranked teams, but it just said Notre Dame, they have one bad loss, but they've got some good wins that are going to help them on their season. But then with BYU, it's like, I don't know. They lost, or they beat some teams that aren't very good, so that's not going to help them. What is that? What does that even mean? They beat those teams, so they did what they were supposed to. Oh wait, no, here it is. This is wild. If you haven't found it, this is so irritating to me. And John Kurtz, who I'm sure many of you watch his stuff, was commenting on this, but said Notre Dame. It said the worst loss for a playoff contender, but still has some wins. It also helps Notre Dame with these opponents, right? So it's like, okay, here's how we can talk ourselves into Notre Dame. And here, this is the Cyclones, but it was the same thing. It was a Big 12 team. And then here's what they said. Why they could be lower. BYU almost lost to 4-loss Baylor before its bye week, which I still argue that Baylor is better than their record. They're a tough team. Wins against a 1-4 Wyoming team and an FCS opponent could hold them back even more. So BYU is going to be held back by beating these teams on their schedule when Notre Dame, can have that. Oh, it's not even up on the screen. I'm sorry. Thought I pulled that up. Here we go. Sorry about that. I just read through this, but I'll pull it up in case. Yeah, I was looking at the wrong screen while I did that. But so Notre Dame has a loss to Northern Illinois, but still, they've got some good wins. And then BYU in this same article from ESPN says why they could be lower. These wins could hold them back even more. I don't know why wins would hold them back, especially when they were convincing wins. BYU outside of Oregon, I think, is the only other team to have 2 wins over currently ranked teams. So really stupid, really frustrating to see that. So that's what worries me. And same with like the ranking argument. Like, I don't know. I wonder if BYU, how this win will be viewed by the media, by the in the AP poll. Is it going to, are they going to say, yeah, well, BYU, they needed a last second touchdown to beat Oklahoma, who'd lost 3 straight and now 4 straight? Or are they going to say, you know what, BYU found a way to win. They're in a tough situation, and that's what worries me. And then being ranked 13, like ultimately, if BYU keeps winning, that's going to work itself out. But my problem is there's no room for error. So if BYU loses, like how far is BYU going to drop? Even if it's a decent win, a decent loss, or they have a lot of good wins, I feel like they're going to get dinged more than like Alabama, who's still ranked ahead of BYU, even though they have a loss to a very mediocre team in Vandy. And I think Vandy's actually like 4-2. So maybe they're okay, but almost losing to South Carolina too. It's just, I just think that double standard by the media is there. And so it's not that I don't think ultimately if BYU keeps winning, they will be able to make it to the Big 12 championship game. And then at that point, if they win that game, they're in. Even if they don't, they still have a shot at making it into the playoff. So, but I don't know. Again, is the Big 12 going to be able to get 2 bids to the playoff? We will see. All right. Moving on here, I got comment here from Spencer reads everything. What's up, Spencer? Good buddy of mine. Go check out his YouTube channel. If you're into books, he covers just about everything on there. Does a great job. Says, was it more of BYU struggling even at what we've been good at, namely defense, or did OSU figure more out than we expected? That is the question. And I guess it's something for us to look at this next week as we rewatch it and look at stats and stuff, and something I hope to have some sort of insight on, but I really don't know. That is a great question. And I'm getting a little bit behind on these, but good question. I don't know. It does seem like OSU figured something out. It also seems like we've just struggled with the run. Quarterbacks have all looked like mobile quarterbacks. Even Alan Bowman there, I remembered his name. See, even Alan Bowman ran for a first down. And I just wonder if it is perhaps a weakness of this defense, but good question. Justin Bingham says the cute throw into the end zone by Rapati really pissed me off. Knock it off with the bull. I'm going to keep this family friendly here. The bull calls. We want points. Yes, absolutely. I think most people felt that way. That call felt a little too cutesy and unnecessary. BYU really had momentum right there. You could at least have gotten 3 off of that drive instead of that turnover. All right. Let's see. Spencer reads everything, responds, I think Gundy having 2 weeks to figure stuff out and BYU did that one post twice? Or no, that was a response. Sorry about that. And BYU having a short week affected the game much more than anticipated. Replay this game with a normal schedule, and it's not nearly as close. Yeah, it could be. That would be interesting, and it may have even been a text, but talking about it, so I won't take credit. But yeah, I mean, I'm curious about the statistics on teams playing a short week versus a team, especially playing a team coming off a bye, going against another team coming off a short week, and what the record is for the short week team. I assume that it would suggest that they're disadvantaged in those. So and certainly with a coach like Gundy, who is a very solid coach, who's going to have his team ready. So there's no surprise there. Cougar says, "Go Cougs!" Yes, absolutely, go Cougs! And like it was playing at the end of that game, celebrate good times, and we should celebrate. It is a win. We should be happy. And Daniel Hughes says, "My heart definitely got a stress tonight. Wowzas, go Cougs!" Yeah, let's be happy. I think there's a lot to learn, and I have no question that this coaching staff is going to be able to go get this team prepared, learn from these mistakes. Got one extra day to rest up going to UCF. So 1-2 says, game was frustrating, but there were some bright spots. Run game looked strong compared to earlier games. We overcame 3 turnovers, all unforced errors. Defense still forced 2 turnovers on them. Really great points. The run game, you're right, and I haven't talked about that enough tonight, did look a lot better. I mean, it's so good to have a healthy LJ Martin, in the game and get the rock. And it was, I think last week, I don't know if they were just trying to bring him back slowly or because it wasn't as necessary, but we didn't see as much of LJ Martin as I would have liked. And tonight we sure got a big dose of him, and that was fantastic. LJ Martin and if we can keep him healthy, like, it definitely changes the game for BYU. I mean, you look at it in that third quarter, we got Oklahoma State started with the ball. There was a turnover on downs. BYU was able to drive. Was it that same drive? And we were just able to run every single play and still get a touchdown and just eat up a bunch of clock. And at that point, it felt like, okay, if BYU can keep playing like this, and then you can eat up clock real fast and then make it tough for Oklahoma State to get back in. Obviously, that would have worked, except they did the same thing to us. But it's really good to have that other dimension. That's definitely going to make BYU much tougher on offense. And then overcoming 3 turnovers, it seems like BYU's done it all year. Even SMU, I mean, that was kind of on them for doing that little pass. It was Jennings right there when we had those like 3 turnovers right in a row from both teams. We got a little bailed out, but the previous interception that BYU had on that little exchange, I mean, that was created turnover. So BYU held strong with those. And then the defense still forced 2 turnovers. Yeah, I'd have to go back and think about all of them. There was the one from Tanner Wall, right? Was that the one where he almost got the touchdown from that one? But yeah, I'd have to go back and think through all of them. But there was the other one. I feel like it just went right into the guy. Was that the one Prassis had? It just was like thrown right to him, or maybe that one was tipped to him. Either way, it doesn't matter. Yeah, BYU still there, able to create turnovers, be opportunistic. And I know prior to this game, the points that we scored off of turnovers was like 56 to 3 points scored on us off of turnovers. I'd have to see. It was something like that. Let me know in the comments if you know the exact stat on that. I'd have to go look it up, but I'm curious to see what the total is after tonight's game. But yeah, thanks for that. And another thought from 1-2, also in such a physical game, coming away without any big injuries, I think is so important, could explain the performance. Yeah, hopefully no big injuries. Like I said, Retzlaff did look hurt. There were other guys that got banged up. There was Lassiter that was shaken up a little bit, but then he came back and obviously scored that game-winning touchdown. So he seemed to be okay. Hopefully there wasn't anything else. And same with Oklahoma State guys. Like, whether your team benefits or not, like, you never want to see other guys go down. And I was glad that Ollie Gordon was at least healthy enough to get back in the game, but he did still seem maybe a little banged up, but hopefully no serious injuries there. Justin's going to help me out here. Justin Bingham, the Wakely Ollie's shirt pull tackle was breathtaking. Oh, I thought you were going to mention something else. Yeah, that was awesome. I mean, it wasn't great because he got the first down, but he's pulling on it. I'm sure you all saw it, but in case you missed it, he's pulling on the shirt and it's tearing, but he pulled on it enough, and he was on the ground as Ollie Gordon was running away and was able to hold on and then like use it to pull himself up and still bring Gordon down. So that was wild. I've never seen anything like that. So thanks for reminding me of that. Had forgotten that already. And then, as always, I'd kind of saved a lot of tweets, but this game, I was really just focused on the game. I wasn't even paying that much attention. There wasn't any that completely stood out to me that I wanted to share. Some thoughts, though, to help me. David Nixon shared this one, which as we talk about Ollie Gordon, that he now has 8 touchdowns, and did he get another? I don't think so. After this, 8 touchdowns in the last 4 quarters against BYU. Woof. Yeah, absolutely. There's something that guy just has against BYU. We have a hard time stopping him, but it was just one of those games that, man, it felt like, I don't know. It just felt like every time you get something going and then, something else would happen. It was just kind of fluky on both sides. And I think both fan bases were probably feeling the same. There were bad calls that went both ways. You had like there in that fourth quarter with those, was it a first down? Those couple calls. You have a couple that looked like they could have stepped out. Like, honestly, I think Marion might have stepped out, but they didn't even like look at that for very long. So then later they had one with Alan Bowman that also looked close, but they didn't even really review that one either. It was just kind of one of those games. I think both teams are going to have frustration. Both fan base are going to have frustration with their team, with the play calling and everything. But ultimately BYU came away with the win, and that's what really matters. So let me know what your biggest takeaways from the game are. I'm really curious as to, what you think this team needs to do the most this next week to get ready and right things. And here, I found one of the tweets I was referring to earlier. Said BYU, and this is from Jay Drew. He said BYU played that entire OSU drive. I believe it was the second touchdown. It says, without starting safeties Tanner Wall and Crew Wakely, Cowboys went 75 yards in 10 plays to knot it at 14 apiece. Not sure why those two were out. I don't know if they were pulled for a specific reason or what that was. But, man, this is being twitchy tonight. All right. So anyway, appreciate all you guys watching, joining in on the chat. I love these things. I hope everyone else is hyped as I am after that win. I already want to go back and watch the highlights of that. This was this was the best tweet of the night. Was I thought as soon as the game was over, we had. Did I close out of it? It looks like I closed out of it. As soon as the game was over. Joe Wheat tweeted, "Where's the cut?" So I think we're all excited to have that cut. Obviously not ready yet. Excited. Those always make me want to run through a wall. Okay. I think I'm going to do one last bit takeaways here from 1-2. I did ask for it. So it says, biggest takeaways, we have clutch players with no fear who are capable of handling high pressure situations. I love that take. Absolutely. It was that last drive was incredible, and it wasn't perfect, but man, the guts, the cojones that Jake Retzlaff had to not just go out, do the safe play. It's probably what he was coached to do. And he saw an opening. He's like, no, I'm going to go pick up more. And he picked up at least, I think 20, yards after that. Incredible. And then the receivers and everybody. And so great takeaway, great positive there. And that really does make you feel good that, hey, a lot of these other things, like we've seen BYU play more disciplined defense. We've seen them come in with better game plans. So it makes you realize, those are the things that you can coach up from one week to another. The traits that you're talking about right here, being clutch and being able to handle the pressure, that's not something you can necessarily coach. And these guys have it. And so let's see, not alternate, Chase Roberts. If that's your biggest takeaway, Chase Roberts, I think just needs the ball more. I don't know if he's just getting double teamed or what, but it seems like he's also not going as often for those long plays that they're really using Lassiter for that, where that used to be Chase Roberts, whereas Chase Roberts is more now just seems like he's just beyond the sticks and picking up those automatic first downs. It seems like every time it goes to him. And Spencer Reed's Everything says, everything is aside, it was great to see our run game looking good. Go Cougs. Yeah, absolutely. I love LJ Martin and that element he brings. Hinkley Rapati still is not my absolute favorite. I think he's great because he's so big and they love him to come and bring in like an extra blocker. And he did have some good runs last week. He also lost the ball, but still great to see that run game going. I think that's bodes very well for BYU for the rest of the season. So anyway, appreciate everyone joining in on the conversation. Try to start calming down and get ready for bed now. But so everyone can take their kids to soccer practice, whatever you have going on. But what an incredible win. I don't even know. I don't even know how to express it. So thank you so much. Be sure to like this video, share, subscribe, hit the bell, do all those things. Really helps. And I love to see the group growing and the amount of people we have commenting grow in this each week. So I love having this conversation because I know what it's like after the game. You just want to talk about it, the game, and we all have thoughts about it. So I love this. Appreciate it. And as always, go Cougs.